What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on the podcast. This is All Elite Wrestling right here on Off the Script. It is Tuesday, November 12th, 2019, and we certainly have a lot to go over. And today, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. For the first time since Saturday night, I'm going to dive into the negative reaction from Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega and the main event that was Full Gear. Everybody seems to be picking apart this main event. Everybody seems to be criticizing it. This is 4 steps back from what professional wrestling should be. Blah, 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 blah. It's like everybody just got soft. It's like everybody lost their balls in this business. I really don't understand it. I really don't understand it. And if you listened to Jon Moxley speak, all you need to do is go back to his interview with Chris Jericho on Talk is Jericho and listen to what he said. The answers lie within. Why did he come to AEW? Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley gave you a match that was unlike anything we've seen in pro wrestling in the mainstream in 2019, and people are shitting on it for what was overall a great pay-per-view. For the first time since Saturday night, I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on all this negative reaction right here on the podcast. Also, what I got lined up for you guys, women's division in AEW, big plans for Nyla Rose, what Brandy Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes have to say about Nyla Rose. Brandy Rhodes also clearly is on drugs as she wants to bring Alexa Bliss into AEW. Yeah, we can do without that one. Just keep that one on the sidebar. We don't need that one. Also, Cody Rhodes and his status following Full Gear, AEW's plans for future pay-per-views. They are going to deliver pay-per-views like WWE used to do back in the old day, the Big Four. So Tony Khan gave you a little inside glimpse as to what is going on in his mind for their next pay-per-view, what he said about that. AEW was forced to make some changes on Full Gear's card. We'll go over that and what they were. Tony Khan talking to Madison Square Garden. Uh-oh. That could be a big deal. Hopefully it happens. AEW reveals a top 5 weekly ranking for each title. Luchasaurus and his injury update, again following an appearance at StarCast. And a War Games match coming to AEW. Is that in the works for All Elite Wrestling? So don't go nowhere, man. We got so much to talk about right here on the podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm feeling a little bit better. I sweated out last night. I was dripping sweat at 5 o'clock in the morning this morning. I had a fever last night, which I kind of knew, but then at the same time I didn't. So when I woke up this morning, I was just a puddle of sweat. It's as if I was playing a fucking Call of Duty Modern Warfare game against a level 150. And, excuse me, you might be hearing that a little bit on the show today. I have this overwhelming sensation to cough, and I hope that whatever I have is going away. So we're going to try and get through this the best that we can. I do feel a little bit better than I did yesterday, but I don't have Monday Night Raw to watch, so I think I'm in good spirits after that. But thank you guys so very much for joining me here. Make sure you guys follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Very important. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. And if you guys want to support the podcast via Patreon, you guys can certainly do so. There's no obligation at all. It is there if you want to. We never hide anything behind a paywall. Please do so. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. If you guys missed my Monday Night Raw review, which was the shortest Monday Night Raw review since I did, I think dating back to when The Beaver actually made a 20-minute review on that Monday Night Raw. I believe it was Braun Strowman and Sami Zayn in a dumpster match, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Since that episode of the podcast, last night's Monday Night Raw review was the shortest since then. That's how bad the show was. I could not bear to even talk about it anymore. I just wanted to get the hell out of there. Couldn't do it. The show was downright dreadful. So if you guys missed that review, I still gave you everything I got. It was still a great review. Make sure you guys go and check that out, along with Off the Script, $2.99, part number 1 and 2. That is linked down below. SmackDown's review from Friday. You got NXT's review from Thursday. You got AEW Dynamite from Wednesday. If you guys missed any of that stuff, or if you're lucky, or if I'm lucky, I should say, you want to go watch them again, which I would not be opposed to, you guys can certainly do that. Everything you need is linked down below in the description of this very video. And today's podcast is brought to you by my good friends over at Audible. You guys know the deal here. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Make sure you guys sign up using our unique link. What you guys are going to get when you sign up is 30 days free of their service and 1 free audiobook of your choice. You got over 200,000 choices to choose from. Now, I've been pushing Glenn Jacobs' new book. I know there's a lot of big Glenn Jacobs, a.k.a. Kane, fans out there, and the book is going to be retailed at $29.99 in its audiobook format. You guys can actually use our unique link and get Mayor Kane, My Life in Wrestling and Politics, for free. Yes, you could use our link to pre-order the book. It's not even out yet. You guys can use our link to pre-order the book and get the book for free. And the best part is, guys, you guys can use the link, get the book. If you feel like Audible's not for you, or if you don't really give a shit about the service, you guys can cancel anytime in that 30 days and still keep the book for free. And there's 8 hours of content, all narrated by Glenn Jacobs. How great of a deal is that? If you don't want Glenn Jacobs' books or his book, you guys can go and get anything else you want. There's 200,000 choices for you to rummage through, man. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Use that, get yourself a free audiobook, and support the podcast right here on Off the Script. If there's one glaring issue with AEW, I think a lot of people would tell you it's with their women's division. And that is 100% factual. Now, there really isn't anything going on with AEW's women's division that is making me really excited at all. Nyla Rose is okay, but she's not really where AEW thinks she is. She's good, but she's not like, oh my god, I can't wait to see Nyla Rose in the ring. Britt Baker's good, but she's not anywhere near where AEW needs her to be. Bea Priestley's probably the best female wrestler that they got, and she's not even with the company full-time. She's still having work with Stardom. She's got obligations with Stardom and in Japan, so she can't give her 100% to AEW. Then you got Shana, who just got a 3-year contract. Her and Hikaru Shida had a great women's match a couple of weeks ago. That was actually a match that got Shana the 3-year contract. And the Joshi wrestlers, Hikaru Shida stood out to me. For some reason, whatever it is, I don't know what it is. I can't pinpoint it. But as far as the Joshi wrestlers go, she stood out more to me than everybody else that they brought in. For some reason, there's just something different about her. I'm not a big fan of Riho. I was never a big fan of Riho. I just don't get the appeal. Yeah, she's tiny and she's cute, but her offense is god-awful. I'm sorry. You know, there might be some AEW elitists out there, but give me a break. Riho is not AEW Women's Championship material. That's not who I would have put the title on, but I get why they did it. Kenny lobbied for the Joshi wrestlers to come on board, and he wanted to build them up in front of the American audience. I get it. But I am not a fan. And I don't know what AEW has to do to build a proper women's division. I would say the first thing is go out and get Tessa Blanchard when her contract is up in the summer of 2020. And if they're not throwing the bankroll at that woman, you got to be mental. You got to be mental. Now, I don't know where her mindset is. She could want to stay in Impact Wrestling just based out of loyalty. But as far as a career, growth, what is there for her to do in Impact Wrestling? She's probably going to beat Sami Callihan for the World Championship. I don't see Impact Wrestling giving you that match and then not giving her the World Championship. They're going to give her the World Championship just based on a situation of, hey, look at us. We gave a female the Men's World Heavyweight Championship. They just got a new TV deal with Axis. They need some type of fucking excitement surrounding the product. And I would not doubt that Sami's going to put her over. Sami is selfless in that. But after that, how long is she going to hold the title? What else is there for her to do in Impact when she wins the Men's World Heavyweight Championship? She's beaten everybody. You want to stay there and just kind of keep going around in circles, or do you want to go somewhere else and challenge who you are and challenge your skills and be the woman that everybody knows that you are and be the face of a division. Or she could end up in WWE and then, then we get the Charlotte and Tessa Blanchard fucking showdown at WrestleMania. Because that's coming. That is absolutely going to happen before we all say goodbye. It's going to happen. That's what they need to do. They need to go out there and get known names. Nyla Rose, Britt Baker, they're not doing it right now. There are certain situations where we look at them and they are work in progresses. And I don't know how long AEW can really go on with subpar women's wrestling when there's a lot of people out there that want to see women's wrestling. But that's not stopping them from having big plans for Nyla Rose. Brandy Rhodes says that people have their opinions about Nyla Rose, but it doesn't matter. Nobody's listening to the negativity, and they can't take anything away from her ability in the ring. She says this, and I quote, "If you want to say that somebody belongs or they don't belong, that's on them. If you want to spew that bullshit into the world, go right ahead. No one's going to listen to you. You can't take away from a competitor that they're a good competitor because you don't like something about them. She's good. And I know what that something is, and I'm sure you know what that something is, and I will not repeat that something here on the podcast because it's juvenile. Get over yourselves, okay? What are you, fucking 4? So Dustin Rhodes follows up with this in the same interview, and he discussed some big plans that AEW has for Nyla Rose. She's here to stay, he says, and doing excellent. Then he addressed those fans who still don't want to accept her. Nyla Rose is doing excellent, okay? There are people out there that are doing what they do. Well, they can shove that stuff up their ass. Because this is AEW and we are different and we are here to put the best possible show on each and every week that we can do with all walks of life, and we're doing it every single week. Nyla Rose, the native beast, is here to stay, and you've just begun to see her, and we've got some big things planned for her. End quote. Now, that really didn't reveal any big plans that they have. It pretty much was 2 AEW executives. Dustin, who I'm sure is going to transition into a producer role, and Brandy Rhodes is the overseer of the women's division. This was not more of, we got big plans for Nyla Rose. This was pretty much both of them coming to her defense because of the same juvenile bullshit that people talk about when they're talking about Nyla Rose, because they can't get over the fact that she is who she is. Get over yourselves. Nyla Rose has the potential to be very good. And I hope that when Dustin Rhodes says she's doing excellent, I hope that with her time off of television, we haven't seen her since that, I believe, that women's championship match with Rio. We haven't seen her on the shows. I hope in that time she's actually honing her craft, and I hope that she's getting better. Because I do think that there is a ton of potential in Nyla Rose. And if that's the case, then that is another piece to this puzzle that you don't have to worry about when building a solid women's division. You're going to have Nyla Rose. Hopefully by that time, Britt Baker is ready to go and where they want her to be. You bring in Tessa Blanchard. You got Shauna. You got Hikaru Shida. Maybe you go out there and get some other names from the independent scene. They need to focus on the women's division because right now it is their weakest link. That didn't stop Brandy Rhodes from saying she wants to bring in Alexa Bliss to AEW. Brandy, I think you've been smoking a little bit too much of the, what was in that drink that you had on Dynamite last Wednesday? Looked a little dark. What was that? Jesus Christ. Alexa Bliss? She can't fucking wrestle. If you want to go backwards in building a women's division, then bring in Alexa Bliss. Now, we had Brandy Rhodes say in a StarCast convention in Baltimore, she says this, and I quote, "I would take Alexa Bliss in a heartbeat. I love Bliss. I love her. I feel like she's got something. She's multi-dimensionally talented." I don't really know what to say about that. Out of all the people, I don't even know what the fucking question was, to be honest with you. I could assume that if there was one woman in WWE that you would take, right? That's the question that was posed by this geek in the StarCast audience. With Brandy on stage, there's one woman in the WWE that you would take for your own division, who would it be? And then she gives Alexa Bliss? That's the answer you give? I can't take you seriously at that point. Alexa Bliss is garbage. She's injury prone. She does absolutely the bare minimum, probably less than the bare minimum. She's always injured, right? Because she needs to get enhancements or fix something that's possibly wrong from said prior enhancements. There's nothing redeeming about Alexa Bliss. Yeah, she's decent on the microphone. Not going to take that away from her. Is Alexa Bliss going to bring some star power to the AEW women's division? Absolutely. Absolutely. Is it going to get people to watch AEW? Maybe. Can't really say. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch AEW because Alexa Bliss is on there. But Alexa Bliss has a lot of fanfare that comes along with being Alexa Bliss. Maybe that means, maybe Brandy meant it in a way that Alexa Bliss is so incredibly popular that if she takes Alexa Bliss and puts her on the AEW's women's division, that a lot of eyeballs would follow over and watch the product. I hope that's the case. I hope that's what she meant. I hope she didn't mean anything about her wrestling ability. Because that's not even there. It's non-existent. I would honestly take Asuka. I would take Toni Storm. I would take Sasha Banks. Botch Banks. Yeah. Blow me. You know, it's funny. Every time that I mention I'm a fan of Sasha Banks and, you know, I'm very high on Sasha Banks and how I think Sasha Banks is one of the best female wrestlers in the world and that I would take Sasha Banks to build my division around, anybody would do that. Anybody with a right mind would do that. And then I mention my love for Sasha Banks as far as what she does in the ring and what she does as a performer. And I get one cretin all the time. Well, didn't she end Paige's career? Botch Banks? Yes, because Sasha woke up that morning and she poured herself a cup of coffee and told Mikaze, as she looked into his eyes, you know what, honey? I'm gonna end Paige's career tonight. Yes, because that's exactly what she did. Fucking cretins. What are you, stupid? Alexa Bliss. Sorry. Hopefully Brandy meant it in the way of her popularity and not her wrestling ability. Brandy's husband, Cody, out several weeks following Full Gear. Obviously, you guys can see pictures on AEW's social media. Cody was fucked up. He went for a dive over the top rope on Chris Jericho and landed face first on the ramp at Full Gear. Now, Cody required several stitches in a deep gash above his eye. And it was reported at the time that he also suffered, I don't even know how to pronounce this. I'm going to try, and I'm going to fail miserably, a costochondral separation. Whatever that means. And we all know what that is. I don't. Turns out what he suffered is also a separated rib, an injury that has now been confirmed by Dave Meltzer. So he actually suffered a gash above his eye, a costochondral separation that required 8 stitches, and then he had a separated rib, confirmed by Dave Meltzer. He is not cleared to compete, and this separation usually takes up to 4 weeks to recover from. It will likely be till the end of December before we see him in an AEW ring wrestling again. Now, Cody, even though he had MJF throw in the towel, he lost the match to Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho even said so. Listen, don't take away from the fact that I won the match. The guy can't challenge for the world championship anymore. And all because MJF threw in the towel. You know, I don't want people to start making excuses for Cody. He lost the match. He's not able to challenge for the AEW title ever again. I'm sure there will be a way around that, but we'll see what happens. And Cody, obviously, is a big deal for AEW. Everything that Cody has done in that ring, from storytelling to promo work to what he's done in the ring, everything about Cody has been an MVP-like performance, not only in AEW, but in professional wrestling in general. Cody Rhodes has been absolutely on fire. And if you don't think this guy, and I said this on Saturday during the review, if you don't think Cody Rhodes is a fucking legend in this business after what he's done so far in AEW, It's unbelievable. The storytelling that he's had with anybody that he's been in the ring with. Everybody from Shawn Spears to Dustin Rhodes to Chris Jericho. This has been unbelievable. This may actually end up being his best body of work to date. The match with Jericho was fucking fantastic. I don't know how else to put it to you. It was great. It was just a main event that you really don't see in professional wrestling anymore. It really reminded me of me watching old school WWF back in the day in my mom's basement. And I got that sense of, intrigue, and it just reeked of old school. And watching two guys who are the master of their crafts tell an amazing story here, there's no way that you cannot be invested. Cody has been fantastic in everything that he's done. And him being out for 4 weeks, he's lucky. He's lucky, because that bump was fucking nasty. It was absolutely nasty. 4 weeks, and then we got MJF on the rise in AEW. Him with a microphone on Dynamite, I hope. Because we need an explanation. And AEW's not stupid enough to not put a microphone in that kid's hand. I can't wait to see what he has to say. The meteoric rise of MJF is about to take place. And the story with MJF and Cody now, if you thought what he did with Jericho and Dustin, his own brother, was great, this is going to be fantastic. Now, a lot of people were like, how could MJF turn heel when he was already a heel? Well, I don't really have an answer for that. But if you've been watching the Being the Elite episodes on YouTube, and you've been watching what they've done on social media, I know not everybody watches that. I know it's a small part of their audience. But if you watch him on there, he interacts with Cody, he interacts with Brandy, he interacts with Pharaoh, he's always at their house. So he's mingling with the Rhodes family. So just by association, people will think, well, he's hanging out with the Rhodes family, he must not be all that bad of a guy. But in front of the live audience, you might think a certain way about him. I don't know who would end up booing MJF. I really don't. I find that to be great. He's somebody that I would actively go out there and cheer just because what he does is fucking fantastic. Now, Cody is so beloved by everybody, now it's beyond the shadow of a doubt that he's a heel. He is absolutely a heel. And he will be a heel for the foreseeable future. So I can't wait to see what this kid says with a microphone in his hand, and it's just going to be phenomenal. MJF with a microphone in his hand for a promo on AEW. Folks, if you're not watching AEW, I said this on Saturday, if you're not watching AEW, get ready. Hopefully they do it on Wednesday night. AEW's future plans for upcoming pay-per-views. During the post-event media scrum, Tony Khan was asked about AEW's next pay-per-view. All Elite Wrestling wants to continue doing the best thing for fans to give them a great quarterly pay-per-view experience. Khan confirmed, Tony Khan, by the way, clowns, Tony Khan confirmed that All Out, Double or Nothing, and Full Gear are now big quarterly brands for All Elite Wrestling. He said in the first quarter they will make a big announcement about a new event that will be on their Mount Rushmore. So there you go. Double or Nothing 2 was confirmed. Where that's going to be, I don't know. I assume Las Vegas, because it kind of goes with the name. Tony Khan said he couldn't give all the details about their quarterly pay-per-view, their fourth quarterly pay-per-view, but he's very excited about it. It's going to be awesome, he said. We'll just have to wait and see what AEW and Tony Khan have planned. I love it. There's no need for 12 pay-per-views. WWE could probably even get away without doing 12 pay-per-views. They could limit the fucking pay-per-views to 6 pay-per-views a year, and I think everything would be great. You got 12 pay-per-views on top of the fucking 2 Saudi shows. That's way too much. Just overexposure. But that's their motto. That's what they do. They think more is better. And meanwhile, it's not. So 4 pay-per-views here for AEW. We got All Out, Double or Nothing, Full Gear, and then we're going to get an announcement soon about their, I don't know when it's going to be. I assume it's going to be anywhere between January and March, because Double or Nothing is going to be in May, I believe. So we'll see what happens. I think they would be foolish to not do, I think they would be foolish to do something on WrestleMania weekend. I would not. Just stand on your own, do what you got to do, just be by yourself, give fans the proper experience that is just only about AEW and not having to fucking leech off of WWE like everybody fucking does during WrestleMania weekend. You guys are big enough. You guys have the capabilities enough to just do something on your own way. You don't need WWE. You don't want to get people talking. So don't do anything in April. And being that Double or Nothing more than likely is going to happen in May, I doubt they're going to do something in April. So I just hope that they're not revolving anything around WWE in that sense. And I don't think that the way the calendar really is set up that they will. But they need to stand on their own, and they're fully capable of doing that on their own. So 4 pay-per-views for AEW, listen, I think that sounds great. And that's really all you need. If they wanted to add a 5th, they could probably do that too. So we'll see what happens. AEW, at Full Gear, they were forced to change some of the Full Gear card due to personal situations. Now, during the media scrum following Full Gear, where Tony Khan mentioned about the quarterly pay-per-views, he also revealed that he had a lot to do with Britt Baker and Bea Priestley's feud. He helped map it out and wanted it to be on the pay-per-view, but due to a totally understandable personal situation, that match needed to be switched around. It wasn't supposed to be the Britt-Bea. Just so you know, I felt very strong about that match, and I was heavily involved in the layout from the beginning. I worked on the Casino Battle Royale at All Out, and worked very closely with them and the idea of planning. We wanted Britt and Bea to have issues for a long time, and the seeds have been planted for a long time since Britt got hurt, and worked it into a big feud with a major personal issue, and I think that the promos that they have done built it into a huge match. I wanted it to be on the pay-per-view like I had a lot of involvement in it. It was probably the first match I had a lot of involvement in, like the Battle Royal. But they were the only two with Nyla, and they kind of knocked each other out when Bea kind of screwed over Britt. So, like, I wanted it to be on the pay-per-view, but because of some timing circumstances, and in terms of somebody having a personal situation, which was completely understandable, we ended up moving another match that we had originally laid out for the buy-in, as recently as a week ago, and we switched it. It was originally supposed to be on the pay-per-view because it was important to have both of these matches on the show. End quote. Now, he obviously didn't clarify what the personal situation was, but it didn't seem to be a big deal the way he kind of came off, according to the source here. Now, I do know that the commentary team on Full Gear mentioned that Bea and Britt Baker, while the match was going on the buy-in, that Britt Baker was actually dealing with the flu. So that could have definitely been the situation, that Britt obviously wanted to perform and wrestle Bea Priestley, but being that she was so ill, she just wanted to immediately get out of there. I don't know. I really don't know. It's none of our business what the personal situation was, but they did mention that Britt Baker was dealing with the flu while she was wrestling Bea Priestley. Now, I said on a couple of episodes ago, right here on the podcast, that if these two women were going to be on the pay-per-view, that this should be a main show match, honestly. But they put it on the buy-in, and that's that. Whatever it was, none of our business, and I'm just going to assume, I'm going to make a logical guess that Britt Baker wanted to perform, but she was too ill to do anything. So she wanted to get out of there as soon as the match was over. So whatever it is, the match happened. She went out there, performed, sick, for us. So give her that level of appreciation. Tony Khan confirms AEW is in talks with Madison Square Garden. All Elite Wrestling has big plans, obviously. They're going to be in Miami on January 15th, I believe. Can't wait for that. They just announced that. Now, fans have been asking when All Elite Wrestling will be running a show in New York City. This doesn't seem like something the company is officially addressing, but there have been promises by the company that it will be happening. Where it happens, I don't know. Now, during the Full Gear post-media scrum, Tony Khan confirmed that AEW has spoken to Madison Square Garden about running a show. Then again, there are a lot of great buildings in New York City that they could obviously run in. MSG is certainly a building we've had talks with, and I'd love to run a show in New York. Certainly, we've been really popular in New York. We've been the #1 wrestling show in the 18 to 49 demographic in New York City on any night, not just Wednesday, on cable. So that's pretty great for me, and I would love to go to New York, and MSG is obviously a great building, and there are a lot of good buildings in and around New York. I know it's going to happen. I don't really know it's going to happen, but I have a good feeling that Madison Square Garden is going to happen. We may end up seeing that fourth unnamed pay-per-view to start 2020 end up in Madison Square Garden. Who knows? Who knows? So we'll see what happens, but they could run Barclays. WWE doesn't have any ties to the Barclays Center anymore. They don't have any 4-year exclusivity contract with Barclays Center. WWE, I don't know how their relationship is with the folks over at Madison Square Garden. I'd love to see AEW just run a weekly television show at the Hammerstein Ballroom. I think that would be fucking great. I love the Hammerstein Ballroom. Anytime, especially AEW, anytime people go into the Hammerstein Ballroom, man, the energy in the Hammerstein is fucking electric. Now, it seats about 3,000 or so, I believe. Somewhere around there, probably a little bit less. But I would love that. You know, it's not the 8, 9, 10,000 seat venue that they have been running, but they don't sell out those venues anyway. They never fill those venues to capacity. So why not do the Hammerstein Ballroom as a one-off? I think that would be great. But I do see them going into Madison Square Garden. I would put my money on them going into Madison Square Garden. Obviously, it's not going to be for a taping. It's not going to be for a TV taping with Dynamite. It's going to be a pay-per-view. So I definitely see that happening in 2020. AEW revealed, and this is great. I can't wait to see this, and I can't wait to see this be brought into storylines. They revealed a weekly top 5 ranking for each title. Now, obviously, before AEW got started, they were definitely promoting that it was going to be a real sports-like experience, rankings and statistics and analytics. And this is definitely a push towards their earlier promises before the show even hit TNT. AEW is definitely making wins and losses matter. Their official website lists wins and losses under their stars' names, and it seems like All Elite Wrestling will be keeping this trend for the foreseeable future in an effort to put worth and legitimacy to their roster. Cody Rhodes revealed during a media conference before Full Gear that AEW will release a top 5 of contenders for every title. They will reveal the first list, or actually they did reveal the first list, and they revealed the first list last week, and every Friday is going to be a new list. So you're going to have weekly top 5s for the Heavyweight Championship, the Women's Championship, and the Tag Team Championship. So it's going to refresh every single Friday, and that is going to be brought into storylines, and this is awesome. This is awesome. So now you compare, if for example, for the number 5 seed in the tag team rankings against the number 4 seed, and you can gauge it just based on that. The number 5 seed moves into the number 4 spot if they win, and the number 4 spot moves down to the number 5 spot if they lose. Same thing for the World Championship. You can put the number 2 seed against the number 4 seed. You know? So then the number 2 seed would drop down to the number 3 seed if he loses. So it's a great deal. It really is a great deal. I love this. It's just going to bring a sense of legitimacy and it's going to factor into storylines like we've never seen before. WWE should really take what they do on their website in the fucking mocking fashion that they do it and apply it to what they have on TV. But that is too complicated for those simple-minded fucking people. I think this is awesome. I can't wait to see what they do every single Friday. Now, there is a secondary title being rumored right now for AEW. All Elite Wrestling needed to crown an AEW Tag Team Champion, so they did it with the Tag Team Tournament. Now it looks like they're going to add even more gold to the company. Now, during a phone conference for StarCast 4, by the way, which I heard was awful, Cody Rhodes revealed that he doesn't like the term mid-card when associating that term with a title. He was once the IC champion in WWE, and he wanted to elevate that title. The secondary title can be big and make people care about it. This has been a proven fact at Wrestle Kingdom and SummerSlam 1992. Rhodes went on to say that there are plans to introduce a new prize to AEW next month. He wants this title to mean just as much as any other title in the company. Now, I think this is great. I don't know what they got planned. It could be a throwback to WCW, and they could introduce the TV title. I don't know what that means. I don't want to see the TV title be brought back because I don't want to see the TV title in the company because then it would have to be defended every single week. You know, if they got TV, then you're going to defend the TV title every single week. But A secondary title is needed for this company because you got a ton of guys like Shawn Spears, Joey Janela, Darby Allin, Jake Hager, right? Sammy Guevara, and everybody else that's just floating around doing nothing. A title that is secondary or underneath the World Championship, their version of the Intercontinental Championship, those guys need something to fight for. So I'm very excited about this. And it's just common sense. It's logic. You got a lot of guys right now who are there who we don't look at as world champions that really are just there for the sake of being there. They're fighting for what? They're fighting for nothing. You're not going to put Darby Allin in the top spot on the AEW world title ranking list. He's not going to be a world champion. You're not going to put Joey Janela. You're not going to put Joey Janela on a world title match. They need a secondary title to fight for. And while they're holding that secondary title, maybe they bring some sense of legitimacy to that title. Maybe one day they'll be big enough, and in the fans' eyes big enough, to challenge for the world title. But it all starts with that title. I think it's great. I think it's needed. And like I said, the most important aspect is every one of those guys that is not doing anything or fighting for a major title, which is right now only the AEW title, they need something to fight for. I think this is a great move. Can't wait to see what it is, what it's called, and the direction that they go with it. I think it's awesome. Guys, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to take a cold beverage break, maybe take some aspirin because my head is pounding, because I really don't feel all that good, but I'm still here doing this podcast anyway, and I got to cough like a motherfucker, and I refuse to do it on the podcast. But guys, I am going to take a step back here, and I want to make sure you guys understand that we are sponsored today by Harry's. Harrys.com/script. Guys, when you use our unique link right here on the podcast, Harrys.com/script, what you guys are going to get is the following. $13 value trial set. You're going to get a razor handle with an easy grip. You're going to get a 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade, rich lathering shave gel with aloe to keep your skin hydrated, and a travel blade cover to keep your razor dry and easy on the go. Guys, it's very simple. I don't need to go into any details. Start shaving better today. No better way to do that than with Harry's. Harrys.com/script. So, like I said in the beginning, there was a lot of positive coming out of Full Gear. Everybody thought it was a great show. And in fact, it was a very, very good show for AEW. But a lot of people in the community, one thing or another, said that the Kenny Omega-Jon Moxley match wasn't for them, that this is not their cup of coffee. I don't believe that AEW has lowered themselves to do this type of garbage, this type of match with these types of theatrics. So much so. Now, I'm not a fan of his at all, because I think his opinions are complete garbage. But Jimmy Korderas said that Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega was 4 steps back for professional wrestling. Yes, because please inform me, Mr. Korderas, that Monday Night Raw is so great on Monday night. Monday Night Raw is 4 steps back as far as pro wrestling goes. That is what you think is a pro wrestling show. Meanwhile, you're criticizing Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega for what they did at Full Gear? I don't believe how anybody could vouch for WWE or defend WWE and then shit on this. WWE doesn't deserve your defending. He's a WWE apologist. That's why he said this. So Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. Unsanctioned match. Glass, mousetraps, barbed wire, chains, hangings, you name it. It was in there. Jimmy Korderas brought another edition of Reffin' Rants. Kind of creative there, gotta admit. Reffin' Rants to Twitter. And he shared his opinion about Moxley and Omega. He was not a fan of the match and said they took it way too far. This is what he said, and I quote, "A lot of good stuff. I could even look past the refereeing for once, but that last match, okay, going into it, Moxley said, Time for some fucking garbage wrestling. You were absolutely right, actually. You understated it. That was ridiculous. And you're trying to compare that to ... That wasn't hardcore. That wasn't even a weapons match. Trying to compare that to ECW and the Attitude Era, and somebody yesterday even tried to compare it to The Fiend Bray Wyatt. And what's the difference? Are you kidding? I have to explain that to you? Now, I don't know who's comparing The Fiend Bray Wyatt to this. I mean, I am not really vouching for the pro wrestling fan out there on social media. I mean, I think they're all fucking retarded. But he says, are you kidding me? I have to explain that to you? That was like 7 levels above going overboard, in my opinion, and has no place in our business. Has no place in our business. Let me tell you something, bro. Monday Night Raw has no business being on fucking USA Network with the garbage they put on. You fucking kidding me? That wasn't even the evolution of our business. That was 4 steps back. Maybe. End quote. Now, I posted on Twitter, because I heard everybody, the morning I woke up on Sunday, everybody was like, oh my God, everybody got soft. Everybody got soft. The fuck is wrong with you people? Well, you can't take a little glass? Can't take a little barbed wire? What happened back in the day, right? I'm sure you all love fucking New Jack taking a cheese grater and fucking grating Spike Dudley's face, right? Fucking ridiculous. I'm sure you loved watching Bubba Ray and Devon set a fucking table on fire. Fucking ridiculous, man. You people sicken me. You really do. Yet, oh my God, Lana and Bobby Lashley and Rusev is such enthralling television. Was it over the top? Yeah. Was it a little cheesy? No pun intended, by the way, with mousetraps. Yeah. But for anyone to shit on the Moxley-Omega match from Full Gear is not giving credit to both of their imaginations and both guys' effort to put themselves through what they did for us last night. I don't understand that I have to repeat myself and I have to explain this to you. It's like everybody doesn't have a fucking brain to think back just a couple of months ago what Jon Moxley said. This man was on a fucking public forum, on a podcast, explaining how he wanted to make a WrestleMania moment with Brock Lesnar. And the match that they were supposed to have never even seen the light of day. Because Brock Lesnar did not want to work with him because Brock Lesnar was a selfish prick. He wanted to go in there, do as little as possible, get paid, and go home. He didn't want to take barbed wire or fucking tables or this and that. Moxley wanted to make this thing special. He wanted to go out there and make a moment at WrestleMania. And Lesnar said, no, we don't need to do all that. We'll just go in there, a couple of suplexes, and I'll throw you around a little bit, and then we'll go home. Then we'll have a couple of beers and we'll go home. And you mean to tell me that you're all complaining about what this guy did last night? Look at what Omega, not last night, on Saturday night. You mean to tell me that you're looking at this guy who was confined in a fucking prison in WWE, just waiting to unleash himself? You don't think this was a product of what this man really wanted to do? This match, just look at it as a way of just him unleashing his frustrations after 6 years of being in fucking purgatory. And look at Omega. Look at Kenny Omega. I don't believe how anybody is shitting on this match and not really thinking about what Kenny Omega put himself through. Does Kenny Omega have to do what he did on Saturday night? Of course not. This guy's the best wrestler on the fucking planet. And he went in there completely selfless and brought himself down to Jon Moxley's level. The guy actually is a master of his craft. The guy could bring a fucking 7-star match with anybody, and he knows that. The guy could fucking wrestle circles around every single roster member of the WWE locker room, and you don't really think while watching this, man, Kenny Omega is now multifaceted in everything that he does. We all look at him as this one thing, the 5-star match machine. And he just put on a hardcore match that is going to live through the annals of fucking time in pro wrestling. You're going to think fucking hardcore, and we seen something that we should have seen in the early 90s in ECW here in 2019, and Kenny Omega was a part of it. You don't think that Kenny Omega, the way he is, was selfless in his act, giving Moxley what he wanted? He wanted to make Moxley. He was about making Moxley on Saturday night. He went into this thing wanting to work with Moxley, wanting to give him the match that he wanted. You can't say that about anybody else. How many other people would have did that for Jon Moxley? Not many. Brock Lesnar certainly didn't do it. You all wanted a wrestling product that was going to push the envelope and move away from the dreadful shows we see every Monday and Friday. Like, I don't understand why you're complaining about what we see. Was it a little cringe-inducing at times? Yeah, I can't even stand a paper cut. So when I see someone take a fucking shard of glass and fucking slice the innards of your fingers, of your hand, that's a little too much for me. But what we see on Monday and Friday night, how do you even have the fucking balls to sit here and tell me, oh, this sucked? Are you fucking out of your mind? I'd take this any day over the fucking week, 7 times on Sunday, over Monday and Friday. You fucking kidding me? And this is what you're complaining about. This is what you're complaining about. I don't believe you're not complaining about what you're seeing on Monday, but this is what you're complaining about. We sat through years of garbage. Years of garbage. Hell in a Cell matches that should have been what was this match with Moxley and Omega. How many times did WWE have a Hell in a Cell match? No blood, right? No violence. They just used the structure to push an agenda, to push a fucking women's match, to put it on the fucking itinerary. Up, we did it. We put the women inside a Hell in a Cell. How many times people go in there and there's no bloodshed, there's no weapons. It's as if the fucking cage is just there. It's simply just there, obstructing everybody's view, and the match doesn't even need it. It doesn't make the match better. Yet we've sat through years of Hell in a Cell matches that, honestly, should be the end-all be-all for a feud and really deliver the type of violence that we've seen on Saturday night, and we've never gotten it. Never gotten it. We sit through a pay-per-view called Extreme Rules every single year, with the most extreme thing being some slob in the 6th row who hasn't showered in 5 days, with some shit mainstream pop music pretending to be edgy for WWE's official pay-per-view theme. And this is what you're complaining about. Every single year we get Extreme Rules like clockwork. And how extreme is Extreme Rules? Oh my God! Bailey pulled out a kendo stick! I don't understand what you're complaining about. Like, I'm physically trying to comprehend what you're complaining about. Dean Ambrose was killed and castrated in the WWE. He finally breaks free, works with the best wrestler on the planet, Jon Moxley, now, working with Kenny Omega, wins, and the man shines on the biggest stage after leaving, and you want to bitch about the match being too much. We have too much fucking garbage every single week. Let me see you start complaining about that. Fucking ridiculous. The bottom line is, this man was held hostage for 7 years. 7 years. This is the match that he wanted to have at WrestleMania with Brock Lesnar. He spoke about it. Lesnar didn't want to bring himself down to that level because he thought he didn't have to. Neither did Omega. But you know what? Kenny did, though. Kenny did. We know Kenny about being one thing and one thing only. That's the best wrestler on the planet. How great does he look now? Yes, he can deliver a 5-star match with Okada in his fucking sleep. With anybody. In his sleep. Now you're going to look at Kenny Omega as, man, this guy could fucking do everything. This guy can do it all. Hardcore wrestler? I never seen Kenny Omega's, hardcore side before. I never seen it like this. And he brought himself down to Jon Moxley's level. Because Jon Moxley's not at a Kenny Omega level. Worked with him, gave him the match that he wanted, and then put him over. Yet everybody's complaining. Oh my God, glass. Oh my God, mousetraps. Oh my God, barbed wire. Oh my God, it's too much. I can't take it. I can't take it. There are more important things in this fucking business, in this industry to complain about. Yet you're complaining about something with two guys who went out there on Saturday night and gave us entertainment for 30 minutes. I guarantee you, for all the people that are complaining, you didn't turn your head away from the television though, right? They said, or people said that I had to shut it off. You didn't shut anything off. You're full of shit. You didn't shut anything off. The pay-per-view should have ended after Cody and Chris Jericho. Bullshit. Bullshit. You're a bunch of fucking bullshit artists. Fuck out of here. Was it over the top? Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. But was it bad? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's gonna go down in the annals of fucking history as one of the craziest matches that you've seen in the last decade. Stop complaining about shit that doesn't need to be complained about. Honestly. Look at Monday Night Raw, up and down for 3 hours. You can find more to complain about in that one show than you can about this one match. Every single week. Be better. Seriously. Stop being so soft. These are the same fucking people that willingly went to the ECW arena and willingly watched ECW on TV. Fire and barbed wire. And this, and how many of you fucking people, this is another point, how many of you fucking people, if you list favorite pay-per-views in your lifetime as a wrestling fan, how many of you choose the 2006 ECW One Night Stand as one of your favorite pay-per-views of all time? I know I do. I know I do. Are you going to say that the Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer versus Mick Foley and Edge match was too much? Where Terry Funk had fucking blood just seeping out of his eyeball and then got taken to the back, comes out with a bandage around his fucking head, flaming fucking 2x4 barbed wire in the match? Did you complain about that then? These are the same people complaining about this that I guarantee you that pay-per-view is on your list of best pay-per-views ever. Stop complaining. You make me fucking sick. Fucking bullshit, man. This community is a bunch of fucking pussies. Every single one of you. Too much. Monday Night Raw is fucking too much. Too much garbage. Moving on. Luchasaurus. I've been doing as much rehab as I possibly can, he says. I quote. Luckily, it was a tendon injury. So muscle injuries can heal anywhere from 1 to 3 months. The doctors, he says, are looking at me every week. And when I'm finally cleared, I told them I need to see a paleontologist for one. Ha 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 ha. And that's the first holdup on this whole thing. I'm hoping at the latest I return in January. At the beginning of January. That would be the latest. Like, I'm hoping to be back earlier than that. But we'll see. So there you go. Luchasaurus. Just gotta be patient, you know? I, for one, am a huge fan of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I'd love to see them back on television. But I want him to be okay. Because he's a very, very important and going to be a huge part of AEW. I want him to be right. And I'm glad that he is on the road to recovery. And it's not as bad as it initially was being reported. And this came at StarCast when he actually sat down with Taz, and Taz had a show at StarCast, spoke to Luchasaurus, and obviously that was one of the subjects brought up because everybody knows how over, not only he is, but him and Jungle Boy, the most over tag team in AEW. When they come back, there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to be fucking an amazing return. AEW, War Games. Apparently, Cody wants a War Games-like match in AEW. Cody addressed the fight brewing between the Elite and the Inner Circle. He stated when the two factions faced off, it would be a match beyond. Back when War Games was in the NWA, the match beyond was the portion of War Games where all the men from both teams had entered the ring. WWE owns the right to War Games, obviously. Obviously. At least the name, anyway. WWE bought the naming rights from MLW. MLW had purchased the rights to the name when WWE had originally let them go. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Cody and AEW actually own the trademark to Match Beyond, or The Match Beyond. In a story earlier this year, Cody trademarked many of the names that his father had just ideas with, and that WWE had let go or never owned, and Match Beyond was one of them. So, WWE has put an NXT version of War Games for the last 3 years, and it hasn't had the same brutality as those earlier War Games matches. The Four Horsemen, Dusty Rhodes, and the NWA put on some of the most violent matches in history. Yes, but you all want to complain. You all want to complain about Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, right? Yeah, it's alright that you guys watched Ric Flair back in the day fucking see blood every single match he's in. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to complain about the Match Beyond for being too violent when we see it eventually? Give me a break. Don't watch AEW if you want to be a fucking pussy about it. Apparently, this is the promotion for big boys. Am I going to have to go out to fucking Walmart and buy you Pampers? Yes, let's watch AEW now with a nice fucking tight diaper on because you're a fucking pussy. WWE has War Games. Obviously, that's not saying that it isn't great. But given a PG rating and the lack of ability to do blood in matches, it can make cage matches a little less intense. AEW has shown a willingness to let performers get color. It will be very interesting to see Cody's take on his father's idea, given how much he seems to be drawing from the past. Obviously, if I'm a betting man, Cody is going to deliver on what his father had originally conceived as far as ideas go. And I think this would be awesome. Especially if you're continuing the battle between the Elite and the Inner Circle. That makes sense? The Match Beyond? Sign me up. I think that's going to be great fucking television. I don't know who doesn't want that. Reason for the botched ending with Pac and Trent Beretta. This is something that just looked ridiculous, if you ask me. I complained about this for the people that want to come on here and say, oh, JD is such an AEW dick rider. I complained about this. This was awful. Now, Meltzer, in the newsletter, said there was a major lack of communication, and that is to be blamed for the misunderstanding. The match was quickly coming to an end, or a commercial break, and the finish needed to happen live on television. Apparently the match was supposed to go longer, but the finish needed to end while the cameras were on. Trent and Pac set up the finish. Supposedly this was going to be the Black Arrow. However, nobody communicated this to the ref, who was still expecting a pre-planned finish. When the ref stopped the count, Pac quickly transitioned into the Black Arrow for the win. In most situations like this, the ref is taught to count the pin like a true sporting contest, which should have been done. Obviously, that didn't happen. To the folks viewing at home, this was clearly an awkward situation. To a lot of the folks in the live crowd, it appeared Pac just popped up and didn't want the ref to count. This is why many of the fans were booing. Pac is billed as a bastard, and his actions would fit his character wanting to punish his opponent more. So I can obviously see that happening. Unfortunately, the botch created a poor ending to what was an otherwise really good match. Meltzer gave the match 3 3/4 stars. He said it would easily have been 4 stars if not for the ending. And that was pretty much it. AEW, they need to stop with these mistakes. These little fucking mistakes that we see on TV. Now, I don't know why this happened. The referee, even before they even fucking go out there for assignment, call it as a shoot. I don't give a shit what miscommunication or misunderstanding. The guy is fucking pinned off a finishing move. Count the fucking 3. He stopped. I don't know. Count it as a shoot. That's what WWE teaches them to do. It looked ridiculous. You can't have that happen again. So hopefully they move on and everybody is in the know that when something like that happens again, just make the 3 count, because you're going to make not only the show, but yourself look like an idiot. And then you're going to get the cretins on social media. Up, there's the amateurs in AEW again. Can't even get the refereeing right. Finally, guys, because I got to get the hell out of here. who was responsible for the Cody and Chris Jericho segments on Dynamite, meaning the Cody Rhodes promo and then the Chris Jericho video package. Meltzer states in his newsletter, there are 40 writers working in WWE, and they haven't written a promo this good in perhaps ever. Meaning Cody's promo, which was fantastic, by the way. Strong words there from Mr. Meltzer, but Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair in the NWA, they didn't have writers writing for them. These old school guys, they didn't have writers writing for them. Austin didn't have writers. The Rock didn't have writers. So Meltzer goes on to claim that Cody was responsible for writing his own promo. The only thing that he had to get cleared ahead of time was the phrase, stupid dick, on TNT. It's amazing what can happen when a wrestler delivers his own promo in his own words and comes off as real and passionate. Maybe some in WWE, should learn a thing or two. Or maybe, just maybe, they don't need 40 fucking writers to write goddamn material for a god-awful 3-hour show. How pathetic is that you got 40 writers and the shows are that bad? Now, as for Jericho's spoof, mocking video package, Meltzer claims the idea for doing the mock of Cody's video was Jericho's, as were many of the jokes. Whether it was the comedic names such as the Spanish God or Chris's aunt's friend from church, a lot of them had inside meanings. Now, number one was Soul Train Jones from Virgil. Soul Train Jones was a name Mike Jones, a.k.a. Virgil, used in his early days as a wrestler in Memphis. I didn't know that. I was never a big Virgil guy. The cursing old lady's name was Bobski. If that sounds familiar, it was a nod to the Southpaw Regional Wrestling. Jericho played Clint Bobski in the highly popular WWE YouTube series, if you guys remember that. Even though these segments were very popular amongst those who did watch, Meltzer claims these segments are segments you can advertise to bring viewers in. The hope is word of mouth of how great these segments were will bring in future viewers, says Meltzer. AEW's viewership was slightly up, but not as much as they had hoped post-World Series. Even if they don't bring in new viewers, those who are watching certainly are enjoying them. Whatever they did, continue doing it. That's all I got to say. Cody's promo was probably one of the best promos I think I've ever heard. It was fucking unbelievable. It was great. And that is the product of someone who knows what he wants to do. That is the product of someone who doesn't need some fucking four-eyed geek with a pocket protector. This is what we're going to say. And I have no idea about your character, but here's your script. Yes, please. You're going to have 6 guys write for Cody when he knows what he's got to do better than anybody, and you're asking someone to speak for him. Unreal. These guys don't have a fucking iota of a clue what these characters are like, yet you're having them write for them. Hopefully that continues. And they already stated before AEW took the air on TNT, we don't have any writers. Everything's unscripted here. Cody went out there, wrote his own promo. Boom. Look at how great it was. That's what they need to do. Clearly it worked. Clearly it was fucking the talk of the town on social media. So clearly they're not going to change anything because you don't need to change something that's not broken. It needs to continue that way. And going on into the future, WWE should honestly take lessons because they sound just way too fucking scripted. It doesn't even sound real. Eric Bischoff said WWE shows sound too polished. They need to change that. I think so. Guys, I'm getting out of here. I am going to get myself some soup. Hopefully I feel better for Dynamite tomorrow. Thank you all so very much. Let me know what you think of Moxley, Omega. If you agree with me or not, let me know down below in the comments. I'm getting out of here. Make sure you guys follow me on social media at JD from NY206 on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button. Very important. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Make sure you guys check out all the other videos that you might have missed this week, including the shit show that was Monday Night Raw last night. Go and check that out. Also, off the script this past weekend, parts 1 and 2 of episode 299. We got episode 300 coming up. I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary. It's just a regular show. It is what it is. 300 episodes. And make sure you guys also check out my sponsors, Audible, audibletrial.com/off-script, and harrys.com/script. And I will see you guys right back here for Dynamite on Wednesday night. Have a cold beverage for me, guys, and have a great Tuesday, and I'll see you right back here for AEW Dynamite for the fallout of Full Gear. See you then.